in different ways. Now, polarity is also affected by pheromones, which is, of course, our natural attraction to others, the way that we smell. You smell a partner and they smell good to you. That smell turns you on. Now, this is not something that can be changed. If you have been in a long-term relationship, say, and when you started out, this kind of animal attraction was once there, so this pheromone attraction, but the polarity now is off, this scenario can oftentimes be helped by doing deep emotional energetic work. If the natural attraction was never there, meaning, you met someone, you were never really physically attracted to them, but you decided to be with them because of their resume, because of their status, because you just really liked them. They were a nice person, and you decided to kind of marry your best friend. That is a more difficult situation to create balance in the polarity. It will be harder to create a balanced polarity in these kinds of relationships. Now, if the polarity isn't relatively balanced in the relationship, one or both partners will probably not be very interested in sex. That's just how it works. However, it's important to understand that there is hope. So I can tell you that in my relationship, we are constantly doing things to strengthen our polarity. So sometimes that can be, for example, when I'm menstruating, there is no intimacy between us. That's time where I'm with myself. I'm processing emotions. A lot of women don't really realize that their menstrual cycle is actually an opportunity to download some very, very intuitive information, and also to release emotion from our body. Our body is actually shedding blood. And of course, women feel very emotional when they are menstruating. This is an opportunity to release emotion. So when I go through this process of menstruating, for me, it is very important, and I know for a lot of other women that are connected to this lineage, that are connected to tantric practice, will take that time to be with themselves. So no intimacy. This is something that strengthens the polarity, because if you're constantly available to your partner that you're in a long-term relationship with, that is going to weaken the polarity between you. So you do want to create some distance sometimes, whether it be, I know that some couples will even sleep in separate rooms. For me, that's not really so practical. We have 3 kids, and we like to sleep in the same bed, but we also do things to create separation between us. So this is essentially changing your behaviors and doing things intentionally to create, to heighten and to intensify the natural attraction between you. Okay? Now, if you're willing to dive deep and do this work, there are a number of things which you will need to do in order to help you deepen the polarity, deepen this magnetic pull that you have with your partner. So one is recognizing our role in a troubled relationship. So, so many people, and I do this, of course, also, we all do this, is blame our partner for different things that are happening in their relationship. It's so easy to spiral down into blame and shame. It's much harder to look at the role that you are essentially bringing into the relationship and perhaps creating issues in the relationship. So it's first recognizing our role. And a big part of that is taking responsibility for our emotions. So if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling isolated, if you're feeling sad, whatever emotion you're feeling in the relationship, it's taking responsibility for that emotion and not blaming your partner for creating that emotion in you. So if you can see that, for example, if there was one partner who made a meal, cooked a meal. Let's say it was the guy. He cooked a meal, and usually it was traditionally maybe the woman's role to cook the meal. And the woman came home and saw that, her husband had cooked a meal, and for this particular woman, she felt like he had kind of stepped in on her territory, and that made her feel upset, angry, unloved, unwanted. Okay. For another woman, she would come home and say, "Oh my gosh, wow, thank you so much, honey. You've made this meal for me," and that would be something that she would really love. So different scenarios will elicit different emotional reactions in different people. So it's recognizing that your emotions are yours, and the fact that somebody did something doesn't mean that they created that emotion within you. Now, it's also learning to deeply listen to our partners, listening to their emotions, to their feelings, and not very quickly trying to defend yourself if they are talking about how they feel or their perspective. So it's learning to deeply listen. Now, another thing that's very important is learning to focus on our own personal transformation and not what we think our partner needs to change. So this is a big one. And of course, we all want to, quote unquote, fix our partners because we think that there's so many things wrong with them. That's not going to lead to any transformation in the relationship. If each partner focuses on their own personal transformation and growth and recognizes where they need to change, where they need to grow, then the relationship can really evolve and transform. It's also very important that we learn to lower our expectations. We have so many expectations of our partner, what we think that they should be doing and what we want them to do and how we think that they should act. If you have lots and lots of expectations, you're going to be very disappointed in your relationship. So all of these things have a very profound effect on the polarity. And of course, working on cultivating our own sexual energy. So this is ultimately our own responsibility. It's not our partner's responsibility to constantly be turning us on. So if that's kind of the pattern that you're in, where you think, and you're in this long-term relationship and you think that your partner needs to be responsible for turning you on, you probably aren't going to be turned on very often. If you start to take control for cultivating your own sexual energy, and this is something that needs to be cultivated, otherwise it really does die down. If you take responsibility for cultivating that energy, you will find that you will be turning yourself on. And that responsibility, this perceived responsibility that we put onto our partners for turning us on, will be alleviated, and you will find yourself being turned on naturally, very easily. So all of these things are related to polarity and maintaining healthy polarity in relationships. That is all for today. Thanks again for being with us on Divine Couples. Feel free to check us out at www.divine-couples.com, and our social media page on Instagram is @divine.couples, adding intimacy, passion, and healing to your lives. Thanks for joining us on Divine Couples. I am your host, Naomi Slater.
Join us next time to continue your journey in exploring the depths of your life force energy. Until then, this has been your host, Naomi Slater. If you have any more questions on this subject, feel free to reach out follow her on Instagram at divine.couples, and to see all of her offerings, visit her website at theworldwideweb.divine-couples.com.